Welcome everyone to today's meeting. Today we will be talking about all of these many things. So I kind of just wanted to go through all of the different things that we need to consider over the next few weeks to go ahead and have them on the forefront of our mind. So starting off, we're gonna have airframe. Airframes have been purchased. I also wanted this to act as kind of an intro meeting for some of y'all who maybe haven't clued in as much in the past few weeks. So the airframes have been purchased. The purchase order was complete. Robbie purchased them on the 9th. They said up to a 4-week lead time. So we'll be expecting it at latest the end of the first week of February. If y'all are curious what a purchase order looks like, I did link it on the slides. Then we have the couplers and bulkhead that we were considering purchasing, but we're actually just going to use Oberons for Zenith. So we will not be purchasing those, which saved us a good bit, as well as the nose cone. We'll be using that for Zenith as well. As far as the bulkheads go, I reached out to Avionics, Recovery, and Payload. The payload coupler sounds like it's going to stay pretty much the same, and I think they plan on using the same holes as well, since it'll be the same setup for the most part, just some improvements. So on that front, we won't have to do anything with the payload coupler, except for making sure that we have the screw placement on the new airframes. But as far as the avionics coupler goes, they are probably going to need some readjustment on the assembly of that. Recovery hasn't fully finalized their new placements of everything, but Avionics has, and Raj is going to go ahead and finish up updating the CAD for us. And I figure we can go about it by maybe printing out a 3D, like a guide that we can put on top of the plate so we can have pretty accurate placements of all the holes that they need. And then we'll also need to figure out which ones we're keeping, if any. I know that Recovery said they still want to keep the U-bolt centered on the ring, so that one or centered on the plate, so that one can stay where it is. But any of the other ones, we need to figure out if we need to do any patching. But I would also be cautious about that because I don't know if at any point we want to go back to using the things that were on Oberon. So alternatives are maybe just marking the holes that referred to Oberon, just so we know to ignore them whenever we're assembling Zenith, or I guess whenever Avionics is looking at their stuff. That may be a better alternative than filling it if that's what we want to do, is leave the holes in case we want to go back to Oberon's layout. We'll also need to make sure that we know exactly what size the new holes are going to be. We can't just willy-nilly start drilling holes into it, assuming they're in the right placement. So we'll go ahead, and that would also be pretty helpful for the 3D guide, is having an idea of how big they need to be, and then being able to have all the hardware that we need for that. As far as the motor block goes, I don't know if all of you read my message in the chat, but the machinist was originally going to machine it for us, and now he is on, I believe, 2 or 3 months of leave for unforeseen circumstances. Eason has agreed to machine it for us. I dropped off the material to JP, who works with Eason, so he'll drop it off to Eason for me. He said he can get it done within the next few weeks for us. And what I dropped off was 6x6 inch 6061 T6 aluminum. In case y'all were curious as to what we were actually using for it, it'll look like this image to the bottom right. If you're curious where the full file is, like the CAD file, or where just the PDF of the drawing sheet is, it's going to be under structures CAD files. And the full sheet kind of looks like this right here. If you're just kind of curious what we're kind of expected whenever we're given something to a machinist, as far as the tolerances go and just exactly what we're manufacturing. As far as the centering rings go, we need to determine, for one, their placement. We need to make sure that we know where they're going to go. We also need to determine what they're making them out of. In the past, we've done wood because it's lightweight. but there have been issues in the past with threaded inserts in the wood because they have not been able to, well, they just keep breaking, and sometimes they don't catch. So I know that's been an issue, but I don't know if that's just user error or we weren't purchasing the right ones. So that's something we'll have to look into. The threaded inserts are so that we can screw into the wood because it needs to have some sort of backing. In case that wasn't clear, I had no idea what they were when they were first using them. So if you're ever curious to see them in the lab, I can always show y'all the rings so you kind of have a reference for it. As far as the boat tail goes, I have placed the purchase order for the fiberglass sheets. I haven't heard anything as to whether they've actually been purchased or not. It's just on Amazon, so hopefully it'll just get purchased sooner than later, and then it should be like a 2 or 3 day shipping. But I haven't heard anything on that front. We may need to order some more epoxy at some point just because we will be using it for this, and then I won't be sure how much we have left after that. Originally, we were going to use wood as the positive mold for the boat tail, but now since the machinist is gone, I have not found someone who's able to do the wood for us. So even though I know Dom said that he knows someone who is a CNC mill, but I don't know how confident they are in using it. So I'm kind of hesitant to go forward with that. So we may instead just kind of try a 3D print. So then we'll just go ahead and get the CAD completed for the boat tail, get it 3D printed, either through Gustavo, and then I know Win said he is a 3D printer as well. So either of those are great options. Plenty of people on the team have 3D printers, so any of them. And then we can go ahead and use that as a test for us to see if we can get it to work. I imagine we're not gonna get it 100% on the first try, so I'm sure that we'll be doing a lot of trial and error. If y'all haven't watched the video that I had posted about how to make the custom nose cone, please do watch that video, because as soon as we get this 3D printed and we have the sheets in, I'll be going through and trying to make sure we have the rest of the materials that we need and purchasing it, and then we're gonna get started on this. So it is definitely something that you're gonna need to know the process step by step. And then we're actually going through it. We'll have the video on the side. And we'll kind of just try to be going along with it as best we can.
Wait, Haley.
Yes.
So you said that the machinist isn't going to be making the positive mold, but have you asked the machinist if he has any like recommendations or connections to go to? Because typically people in, I guess, like any type of trade know other people who are also doing the same trade, whether it be like their competition or whatnot. So maybe he could like give us recommendation or something.
Yeah, maybe.
The UH machinist said a while back last year when we had a problem that he has a machine shop, like his actual shop that he runs in like an hour and a half drive north, which is really out of the way, but that is technically still an option, I guess, if he's still open to that.
Well, don't you live like an hour north, Gustavo? So then it would only be half an hour for you.
Yeah, I meant an hour and a half north from me, sorry. So 2.5 hours north from campus.
Oh, damn, that's a good bit.
It might even be further. I can't remember exactly.
Just ask Kelly on our way down from Dallas at some point. Just yeah, I can go ahead and reach out to see if he has any recommendations. I know when I talked to the lady at the office, whenever I try to drop off the material, she told me that even the other options, because she thought I was a capstone student, so she was like, oh, you're here with like for Chang, for like the machinist, like here, let me try to like figure it out for you. And she was like, oh yeah, our other options are gonna be like way too out of the way. So maybe that's what she was referring to, was the actual like machine shop. I don't know. But yeah, I can email him and ask. Can't hurt to ask, especially since I already bought the wood. And it was $50, so it was kind of a pretty penny. So
we can talk about this later, but like let me know what you need and I can ask my brother because He builds cabinets, but there's a lot of trades next to him because he like rents a place for his business. So I can see like if any of his neighbors, I don't know, have the capabilities and skill set needed. But we can talk about details like later.
Yeah, if you can send me a message either like now so I see it later or like after the meeting, and then I can go ahead and give you more of the details about it that you can give to him to ask around. And then I'll go ahead and also email the machinist after the meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, this was something from last week. We had a meeting with IA Coatings. They agreed to sponsor us for Zenith's paint job. As far as the nose cone goes, I think they don't have an issue with just taking the paint job from Oberon and just like taking it off and putting on a different one. They did say that they want the holes drilled before painting it. So that's something that we would want to do is get all of our placement done, make sure we know like where the couplers are going to be screwed into, where the MMM and everything is going to be screwed into. And then we can send it off to them as like the last thing that we do. They also said that in order to like really define our specifications, especially if we're worried about the drag from the paint job and everything, that we can have a separate meeting with them before sending it off to really like give them all of our criteria and specifications, which I know that analysis has already kind of been talking about. Randy also had an idea for the MMM. It's partly mentioned in his level 3 cert, so I linked that on the slide. But I guess some things to note about it is the fins would not be integrated into the boat tails. They would be almost acting as a fin cam that would go onto the motor tube, the motor casing, and then that would just be screwed in to the airframe. So instead of it being where you could take the fins off, it would be that you would replace the entire fin cam, which is still modular. It's just not modular in the way that we've been trying to incorporate it. We would also, based on all of the fin flutter that we've been testing, the fins are going to have to be carbon fiber unless we kind of want them to be ridiculously thick. And part of what we're doing as far as laying the fiberglass sheets for the boat tail, it sounds like we would be laying carbon fiber sheets for the MMM. And then we were talking about how there may be issue with the fins not staying straight if we were to try to like put it onto something. And no, never mind. While doing like an L1, sometimes you'll notice when you try to like glue a fin to, just a cylinder, it'll just like end up slanted. So that's an issue. So we're talking about maybe like printing something to like help the fins align to keep them straight while they dry. But yeah, that's an idea that we'll talk more about at the end of the meeting. Also, I'm thinking about taking an additional lab time from 2 to 5 on Saturdays. We wouldn't do that every week. That would just be on weeks where we need it, just so we have the second time. So if we were to do something on a Friday and we like really don't want to wait for the whole next week to come around to work on it more, maybe we can meet that Saturday. Especially with the reduced amount of people in the lab, I figure that'll give people a chance to come and like work on something different on Saturday if we weren't working on that on Friday. Another question is kind of, are y'all okay with keeping the meeting times on the same day as the lab times? I know I asked this last semester, but it's a new semester. Maybe y'all feel differently. Y'all online, do you have any preference as to keeping the meetings on the same day as the labs, or would you like it to be a completely separate time that would be strictly a Zoom?
I'm honestly fine with either way. I don't see any difference for me.
Fine with these lab times.
I'm okay too.
Okay. And then something that Gustavo has been working on with all of the leads is kind of getting a schedule going. So we have more of an idea as to what to expect. So that's linked here on the slide under future lab plans. I'll be going through that more and kind of assigning it for certain days. I mean, don't consider it the live all be all because I may be updating it every once in a while, so it may not be constant, but it at least will have, you know, the most recent things that we're kind of expecting to be working on. So I'll definitely try to update that before each Friday. So if you were to hop on there, you would be able to see what I would be wanting to work on that Friday. So just kind of reference, but I am also going to try to start being better about messaging y'all on Discord as to what you would be expecting to do in the lab. Just so y'all have a better idea about that. So here are some assignments that I was kind of trying to distribute today. So as you know, especially all in person, I've been asking everyone to send their COVID results. And so I was figuring if someone wanted more practice with Google Sheets or something, that you could go through and just make a easy like Excel type file with everyone's names and then the day that they got tested, and then, you know, set it so that it's like 2 weeks after, so we know the next time that we need the test at latest. And then maybe like another one that's just like the last time that they were in the lab. So then I could go in at the end of a meeting and be like, okay, so, you know, Donald, Danny, Brandon, and Ben were all at the lab on like this day. So we can kind of just keep track of who was there.
That what the science is for?
Yeah, but that sign-in sheet is so many people on it. I can't like go through it. Yeah. So yeah, but I figure we can do that for just so it's easier to keep track of. And I could easily just make the sheet myself, but I figure if anyone wants to just go ahead and do the sheet, that it would save me some time. It's really just whoever's down to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, would you want it in Excel or?
Google Sheets, so that way I can have access to it and like I can share it with the like Irvin and Gustavo so they can see it.
Like, as far as like the Google related stuff, is it possible to relate Google Sheets to Google Forms? Like, you submit a Google form, something and have that information. To Google Sheets?
Yeah, I think there is a way to do that.
I think that'd be a pretty cool thing, so people could sign that up on their own and then put that data.
No, they do that all the time. I know that they did a form like that whenever people were signing up to interest forms, whenever like y'all were putting in all your information and everything, that it was like automatically inputted onto a Google Sheet. So like we could like look through it pretty easily. You can ask either Irvin or Gus how they did it, or you can look like a YouTube video on how they translate it. But it's done pretty commonly, so I imagine it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
So another thing that needs to get done is updating the bill of materials. This is something that's going to be done over time since we're still, you know, kind of making sure that we have everything that we need. So like I still need to put on there the pricing of the fiberglass sheets, like the 4 ounces and 6 ounces of sheets that we need. And anything else that we end up purchasing needs to go on there. I'm not assigning that today, and I'm mostly going to keep track of that myself, but just so y'all have an idea of what's going on is like, I'll be trying to go in and update that. If we are going to be considering carbon fiber cloths, I figured if someone wants to sit down and just look up a few options for pricing for that. I think Gustavo had already found a place that does it, but in case anyone else wanted to see where some options would be, then you could do that over the next couple of days. So if anyone's interested in looking up carbon fiber pricing, let me know. And then I would give you more specification as to like what ounce, because like they're all different weights and everything. So
I can do that.
yeah. Okay. So Donald for that. And then y'all seniors, I have heard that y'all have classes that may give you some more insight as to what fasteners to use for things. We need to figure out what kind of fasteners we need for the couplers. So this will be a great time for y'all to apply some of them senior courses. So if anyone's interested in that
You hate it, but I'm interested.
or interested, okay.
I am.
I don't know how difficult that is. Do you need a second person to work on it with you?
Yeah, if somebody else go on it, that would be great. Let's make Hong do it. Because he's doing structural right now.
Sure.
He said Hong should do it.
Yeah, on the note of fasteners, there is something else that I want to add to y'all's work is finding the factor of safety on basically anything that's connected to the recovery system, because the recovery system is attached by a U-bolt, or like, the parachute is attached to a rope, the rope is attached to a U-bolt. But what connects the U-bolt to, I guess, like the avionics bay is two nuts on the bulkhead, but that's only connected to the rocket via like some screws or like rivets or whatever you want to call it. And I don't know what kind of forces are going to be there in terms of like the snatch force and if that's going to be strong enough. So to sum up, I guess what I'm saying is we need to find out what kind of fasteners we need in terms of just thickness and material, as well as how many we need, and if the bulkheads are going to be strong enough to support those loads.
Okay.
Because the
Yeah.
rocket is a lot heavier this year than it was last year, and last year we used plastic rivets, which I'm not
Okay.
sure is going to.
Is there any like number, like quantifiable written
Yeah,
thing?
we can sit down. When are
That
you
would
free?
that would be a good thing to use our Saturday times for, is if we ever need to make secondary meetings, we can always do those on the Saturday.
Okay, awesome. Is the same time at 2 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Because that can always be a time that we use to like schedule meetings with other sub teams or something, since I know it wouldn't be a time that they would have reserved. So I think maybe that's also what we can use it for if need be. I don't know if Gustavo was free at that time, but I'm just suggesting it.
Yeah, I'm free on Saturdays.
Me too, but Gus, be careful because your assignment for capstone 1 and capstone 2 for me will always be due on Saturday. But I mean,
I'm practically like free on Saturday, but I will try.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit, I guess, that we need to do in terms of validation. I know analysis is, kind of busy with their own thing. They
Right.
got a lot on their plate. So if just like 3 or 4 members, if they're seniors, I guess they have more experience with it, but it can be anybody. If you guys want to go to the material science lab, or I guess, what's it called? I guess it is the material science lab. They have like the tensile machine, so we can test all the joints and everything and get a factor of safety for all our connections. But also just simply using the stuff from machine design to see what kind of fasteners we need.
I heard Dr. Chang said if you want to use the Instrong, you have to pass some kind of certain requirement for, you cannot just give any kind of sample and throw it in the Instrong. It has to be certain shape and then dimension.
Is that a rule?
I mean,
Or
it's
is
a
that a
rule.
suggestion?
It's a rule to
Because
use the Instrong.
We've used it before with different things, and it's
Oh,
been
really?
okay.
Is
Yeah.
anyone like who's the one that like get you in the lab though?
Namin used to be one of the graduate students who worked in there, as well as I talked to Hamami, and she
Oh.
helped us set it all up.
Oh, okay. So if a mommy agrees, then that should be fine. Because I just heard about it like yesterday when we was in Capstone 2 with Chang. So she
Yeah,
mentioned.
maybe it's a new rule because a lot of people have been trying to use it for not testing samples.
Okay.
But in the past they've been okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, as long as we have like Hamami or Dr. Chang involved in, then we can cover our ass, you know. You just don't want to gonna mess up and they stop us from using it from now on. Does that good?
Okay, well, we can definitely talk more about that tomorrow. And then if y'all do end up meeting, I would definitely want to be a part of that. Just kind of understand what y'all are doing a bit more. So then the next thing would be working on a document to kind of get all of our reasoning settled. This is mostly for like competition reasons. And it's something that we haven't kept track of too much, but I kind of want, I don't know if y'all remember that the document that I had done a while back to explain our reasoning for like the nose cone and how I was talking about how I wanted that to be the document that we like put all of our reasoning into. I only mentioned it like during a few meetings, so maybe not everyone remembers, but I figure we can go back to using that and then kind of just go through our reasoning for like each of the components that we have on the rocket. Just so, especially during competition, we need to have everyone know everything. So like I'll need to know everything about like the recovery systems, the avionics systems, because anyone can just come up to you and like ask you about it and like grade you on like how well you knew what you were talking about. So that'll be a pretty good thing for the other sub-team leads, whoever's joining them, to look at, to kind of just be able to read through it and get what we're doing.
Yeah, I think a good starting point to know kind of what things might go into that. There is a document, if you want to pull it up, you might be able to find it if you search it. It's Harry made it, and it's like questions for spaceport. And it has questions about practically anything you can think of. And if there's answers for Oberon, you can just, delete it and write in what the value is for Zenith.
Yeah, I can definitely find that and copy it over, and then I can post it in the Discord channel whenever if we find that. Okay, so I am definitely going to be working on that myself a good bit. But if anyone would like to join me on that, you would just be kind of looking up a bunch of any questions that we have about the different components. Okay, and I feel like we can, like, this is something where we can have a good bit of people on it, because this is something we'll be updating throughout the semester. It won't just be like done in one weekend. So it can always be like, okay, Donald, go in and put like our reasoning for the nose cone and like and link any documents that pertain to like our reasoning, like the drag calculations that Analysis did or the trade study that we tried to do. So it's kind of something that I can definitely have more people on if anyone wants to be on it.
Yeah.
I can be on it.
Yeah, me too, if you need more people.
So that's Lynn.
You still remember, good job.
Before I put you on this, are you, if you're more so committing yourself to payload, I don't want to like make you commit to like too many things for structures.
We haven't really started much on payloads. I think I should be fine just to help out a little bit.
Okay, but whenever you do start being more active on payload, just let me know.
Yeah, I'll balance it out. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay. And yeah, I will leave it at that for now. But if anyone ever wants to hop on the document, you're always free to hop on, at least to see what's up. because it'll be something for y'all to look at as well. And then finalizing and researching the fins for analysis. So analysis has already been working on the fins a little bit, but they are working on other things as well. So they could definitely use a little bit of extra effort in that regard. And then you would just probably message Robbie and ask him what they have so far, or ask if you can ever join in on a meeting or just kind of be updated as to what they have so far. And then you can ask like how you can help them expand on that, or just kind of, you know, offer your hand where you can. So that would be for the fins.
You can have the director as the liaison for the
Okay. Okay, I have been on that right now, but if anyone else is interested, just let me know. Okay, and then, so I still need to overlook what analysis has so far as the Zenith CAD goes. So I probably won't be able to assign more about that until next week, whenever I've actually looked at it. Because I don't want to assign anything without knowing what I'm really assigning. So I'll look at that, and then I'll go ahead and mention next week what components they have done so far. And whatever they're missing, I want to see if we can go ahead and just like correct anything in there. So like they may have the boat tail in there, but it may not be exactly like what we are doing for the boat tail, like if the measurements aren't quite right. So I want to be able to go in there and kind of just check the document, and then just like let analysis know like, hey, do you want me to just like CAD this thing myself and add it onto the document? Or do you want me to like edit the document and then re-upload it, and just kind of like be more in contact with them as to making sure that what they're doing is lining up with what we're producing. But I will assign that next week, or I will post a message in the Discord chat once I've looked at it, and just kind of send, you know, at Structures who wants to do this. And then this goes for everyone, especially if you want to help produce the boat tail, is review these 2 videos that I am posting right here. They'll both be linked. I haven't linked the second one yet because I closed out of the thing, but it'll be there in a sec. And I'll post these structures I'll post these slides right after the meeting, because I know I mentioned a bunch of links. So, but yeah, this is what y'all can expect for the next few weeks. Yeah, and then if we want to talk more about the MMM now, I'll probably go ahead and stop the actual meeting here, just to keep it roughly short, so it just has like the necessary information, and then we can go ahead and just like brainstorm and kind of talk about the MMM after this meeting. This will act as like our lab time. So I think I'll start doing that, because sometimes we just ramble at the end of the meetings for like an hour, and then I'm posting like an hour and 30-minute video, and like half of it does not like pertain to like meeting information. So I'll just go ahead and end the recording here.